Michael, looking at the Q3 data, how do you plan to justify the 15% budget overrun to the board?
Well, the data. I mean, we had some, issues with the. Give me a second.
Stop right there. That feeling? That heart-pounding, tongue-tied silence? That is the cognitive freeze.
Man, even just role-playing that makes my palms sweat. I felt my brain just quit.
It's the universal nightmare. You have the knowledge. But the second the spotlight hits, your English brain hits the blue screen of death. Welcome to English Learn HQ. I'm Jane.
And I'm Michael. Today, we aren't just talking about your nerves. We're giving you the 3 mental rails to stop that blackout and actually sound like the expert you are.
Specifically, we're going to walk you through, first, the tactical pause. How to turn awkward silence into a position of power.
Second, the prep framework, a structural map that replaces the need for perfect grammar. Third, low friction language, why using smaller words actually makes you sound more professional.
And you definitely want to hang out until the very end. We're doing a rapid recap of all 3 rails and sharing a 1-minute rule that will help you practice these skills every morning, before you even get to the office.
By the end, you'll have a literal cheat sheet you can keep on your desk to survive any surprise question. So Jane, let's get into rail number 1. When I'm nervous, silence feels like an eternity. If I stop for 2 seconds, I feel like everyone is thinking, does he even speak English?
That's the time distortion of stress. To you, 2 seconds feels like 10, but to your colleagues, it just makes you look thoughtful. The trick is using active fillers.
Hold on, active fillers? Does that just mean saying, more professionally?
Not at all. It's actually narrating your process. Think of it like a loading bar on a website. If the screen is just black, you think the site is broken. But if you see that little wheel spinning, you're happy to wait.
So I'm basically just reading my thoughts out loud?
Exactly. You are vocalizing your internal search bar. Instead of a silent blackout, you say something like, "Let me look at the core logic here," or "I want to make sure I give you a precise answer." You're telling them, "I'm working on it, stay with me."
Okay, let's see if I can narrate my way out of the hot seat.
Michael, we need to decide on the vendor by 5 p.m. Why are we leaning toward vendor B when they are more expensive?
That's a complex question, Jane. I want to make sure I give you a precise answer. Let me look at the core logic here. It comes down to the security compliance, which saves us money on insurance later.
See, you didn't say, you used a bridge. Let's try the "I didn't expect this" scenario.
Hey, Jane, I heard the development team is unhappy with the new sprint schedule. What's your take on that?
I hadn't looked at it from that specific angle before. Give me a second to see how that fits into our main goal. Based on the current timeline, I think their feedback is actually valid. We might be overscoped.
It sounds so much more authoritative. It's like you're saying, "I'm thinking," instead of "I'm lost." Okay, so I've bought some time, but now I actually have to give a full answer. This is where I usually get lost in a forest of grammar and never come out.
That's because you're trying to build the house while you're living in it.
Wait, what does that mean?
Think about it. When you're under pressure, your brain is trying to do 2 massive jobs at once. Job 1. What is the actual answer to the question? Job 2. How do I say that with correct verb tenses and prepositions?
Right, and those 2 jobs usually crash into each other.
Exactly. You're trying to put up the wallpaper and do the plumbing before you've even laid the foundation. You need a skeleton. This is rail number 2, the prep framework: point, reason, example, and point.
So if I have the skeleton, I don't have to worry about being fancy?
Exactly. If the skeleton is strong, the grammar doesn't have to be perfect for people to understand you. Michael, I see you're suggesting a change to the treatment plan for the patient in room 402. Why the sudden shift?
Point. I recommend we adjust the patient's dosage of medication X immediately. Reason: because the latest lab results show a significant decrease in their kidney function indicators. Example: for instance, their creatinine levels rose by 30% overnight, suggesting they aren't clearing the current dose efficiently. Point. So, reducing the dosage now will prevent potential toxicity while we continue to monitor them.
Perfect. The logic is so clear that I don't even notice the English. Let's try an engineering scenario. Michael, the budget for the bridge deck is already tight. Why are you proposing these expensive composite materials instead of standard steel?
Point. We should switch to reinforced composite materials for the bridge deck. Reason: while the initial cost is higher, the long-term maintenance requirements are significantly lower in high humidity environments. Example: based on the 10-year stress test data from the North Bay project, this material showed 40% less corrosion compared to standard steel. Point. So, using this material will extend the bridge's lifespan and save the city millions in future repairs. This brings us to rail number 3. I'll admit it, I always try to use the biggest words I know to sound like a VP.
And that is exactly what causes the freeze. High-pressure English is about efficiency, not sophistication. We call this low-friction language.
But don't I sound, I don't know, less smart if I use simple words?
Actually, it's the opposite. When you use heavy words, you increase your cognitive load. Your brain has to work 3 times harder. While you're hunting for a fancy word, you lose the rhythm of your point.
So the fancy word is like a speed bump for my brain?
Exactly. In a crisis, the person who speaks most clearly wins. Let's do a bad versus good role play.
We need to corroborate the statistical significance of this data before we can facilitate a resolution.
We need to make sure these numbers are correct before we fix the problem.
We are observing a paradigm shift in how our users are engaging with the interface.
We're seeing users start to use the app in a different way.
This has been a massive relief. It makes English feel like a tool again, not a test. Jane, let's do that rapid recap.
Let's lock it in. 1. Don't translate by time. Use active fillers to let your brain reboot. 2. Logic first, language second. Use prep to give your thoughts a skeleton. 3. Simple is strong. Use low-friction words. If a 5-year-old wouldn't understand it, save it for your novel.
And the 1-minute rule?
Every morning, practice explaining one simple task, like your commute, using prep for 60 seconds. Do it in the shower. Build the muscle before the meeting starts.
Grab your phone. We've packed all the rails onto this one slide for you. Keep it on your desk or monitor. Next time you feel a freeze coming on, use this to narrate your way out. Before we go, we want to hear from you. What is the one question in meetings that always makes you freeze?
Don't just listen. Pick one of Michael's role-play questions and write your prep answer in the comments. I'll be personally replying to give you feedback.
You've got the knowledge, now you have the rails. We'll see you in the next one.